Welcome back. Today we are doing a tier list on all the items in the food tab. First things first, we got the B box. B box is going in S tier. Now, if this was pre-wicker bottom nerf, I would put this very, very, very low, probably E or F tier, because there was really no point when lichen farming was a thing. Lichen farming is pretty much dead content now, though, because they nerfed wicker bottom to the point where that ability is useless. So now this is the new late game food meta again. You'll put down like, I don't know, like 40 of these really decent ways away from your base, but somewhere you'll still walk by once in a while. That way during spring the bees won't attack you, and then you only harvest it during winter. That way you don't need to worry about any other food during the entire year, and you could get by on just honey if you wanted to. What you'll actually end up doing is you'll get some meat from some things you do anyways. You'll turn a lot of that into honey ham. And so yeah, this is a lot better item than it used to be now, and we're back to the old meta of honey farming. Drying rack, this got a lot better due to the insanity changes. If this was before, I'd probably put it in C or D tier. Now I'm going to put it in A tier. It's not as good as some of the other S tier items are going to be, because it's pretty expensive to build one and you need quite a few of them for them to be effective, but they are good for keeping that sanity high, and they also are a really good healing item, especially like big meat that are dried, because they just last so long. You don't really need to bundle them up. It's really nice to have. So crockpot, easy S tier. So this just makes some certain food items absurdly good that are normally useless, like monster meat and some other things like that. And it unlocks a whole bunch of new recipes that are extremely strong, and almost always with these recipes you'll get more out of it than you put into it. So yeah, crockpot, really, really good. Icebox, also really, really good. So this slows spoilage time by 1/2, so it'll take twice as long to spoil. Very easy to craft one of these. And yeah, you'll just throw whatever food you need to in here, and then later on you'll eventually start bundling food, but you'll only do that when you have too much food, really. Bucket of poop, so we're gonna put this in C tier because it is a crafting item for this guy right here, and that guy will also be going in C tier, so we'll just put that there right now. This thing is absolutely useless in terms of actually using it to fertilize things. There's just no point. It's supposed to be more effective in terms of how many fertilizations you get out of it, but nah, I wouldn't do that. Not worth. And then you got this guy right here, which will help you with farming. So if you're playing like Worley, I keep getting comments about how it's good for wormwood too. Apparently farming is now, but I don't really play wormwood, so I didn't look too much into that. So yeah, if you're playing one of those characters, you might want to use this item, and it can help you figure out how to make those big plants faster. And it's not very expensive at all, so it's not a big deal. The mushroom planter, so this goes in F tier. This has all the issues that the old farms had, and on top of it, it costs living log to actually like keep working. You need to refuel it with living log. Living logs aren't what they used to be in terms of how difficult they are to get, but in terms of just for a few mushrooms, I don't think I'm a fan, man. It's just not worth it. I mean, mushrooms are very good. It's just not worth refueling it with living logs every few uses for a couple of mushrooms, because you have better things by that point, like pierogi, all that jazz. It could be a lot better if you didn't have to refuel it. We got the cookbook, so this is like doing something the wiki already does. It like helps you with recipes or whatever in the crock pot. The only two recipes that you need to know really are meatballs and pierogi, and then as you get better in the game, you'll also want to know honey ham, probably, if you're playing on the world for a while. With those three recipes, that's pretty much all you need to know, and you're pretty much good. Anything from there is additional information that isn't 100% necessary, but it might be a little bit helpful. There's no point making this item for that anyways. The wiki's got you covered. So the salt box, this could be a very good item if it was easy craft, but right now I'm going to have to put it in F tier. So what it does is you can put like raw meat in it and things like that, and it will actually take an absurd amount of time to spoil, just a really long time. The issue is you have to go to do ocean content for it, and ocean content just doesn't have enough useful stuff out there right now for it to be worthwhile to go do. I do think this is going to change in the upcoming updates, so we might see this go from F tier to A tier, or maybe it may even go to S tier. Just right now though, it's F tier, because when you go out into the ocean, you're spending so much time for so little. It's just not worth it. The garden rigamajig, I'm just gonna put this in C tier. This is only useful on a couple of characters, like the Wormwood Worley I was talking about. Actually, let's bump it up to A tier now that I'm thinking about it, because usually when I do this, even if an item is very character specific, you only have to make that item if it's beneficial to your character. And if you're playing Worley or Wormwood, this is pretty beneficial to your character. So I'm putting it up in A tier with the drying rack. This can be quite an easy food source if you're Wormwood. And then also it's very helpful for getting yourself buffs if you're Worley. The fermented, whatever this is called, this is new in the past update. So this, as far as it goes for farming, it doesn't look like it's useful at all to me. It just takes too long to get for it to be useful for farming. Unless you're on Wormwood. If you're on Wormwood, you can force bloom by drinking this, if I remember correctly. I'm just going to put it up in A tier for now, purely for Wormwood players. That's all I'm talking about, just Wormwood tier. For anyone else, F tier, don't worry about it. Don't think about it. It's not a real item. Okay, just don't worry about it. We got the portable crockpot. So this is Worley specific item. So if you're playing Worley, a portable crockpot is extremely good if you're playing Worley. S tier item, I would say, because having a crockpot you can bring with you. First off, this lets you glitch out of the map extremely easily with this in the caves. So you can void walk with this like basically anywhere and have no issues. If I remember correctly, I'm not sure if they fixed that in DST or if that's just DS now. Tell me in the comments if you know. And then also just being able to cook those crockpot dishes wherever you go. Really nice. Crockpot is obviously also an S tier, but it only works for Worley. So this is just a Worley only thing. Don't worry about it if you're not playing Worley. The grinding mill, we are going to put this in S tier also just for Worley, because those seasonings are really good. Same for the seasoning station. Both those are needed to really unlock Worley's true power. Worley is really only good in ultra late game though. I just wouldn't play Worley because I play very early game, so I don't much like the mega basing aspect. Not a fan. Yeah, these are needed for the seasonings, which are extremely strong. They can give you things like extra damage and things like that. They can make it so you can chop down trees really fast, a whole bunch of things. And they're very useful, but they are very expensive and using farm food. So they are problematic to get in early game, to say the least. And that's all. If you liked this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Otherwise, I'm going to throw a bee at you from this bee box right here.